Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And I'm Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that love some board games. Well, usually all.
All board games. Today we're doing What's the Merit of a new game from a new company called
Keystone! I think we kind of gave it away.
This video is sponsored by Rose Gauntlet, and Keystone is coming to Kickstarter May 18th. So check the link down below and let's learn the merit of this game. Now, Keystone is designed by Jeffrey Joyce and Isaac Vega and is published by Rose Gauntlet. In this 1 to 4 player game, you'll take the role of a biologist trying to build the best interconnected biome of lots of wonderful species. The player with the best biome and the most points will win. Now let's take a quick look at how to play the game. Do note that this is a prototype version and everything that you see here today might be a little bit different in the final version of the game.
Like always, you'll begin by setting up. Each player gets a player board and 2 secret objectives, which they'll pick one from. And they'll get synergy tokens depending on the turn order. In the middle, place the time tracker, 5 random skill tokens, and set up the field so that there are species available to introduce to your board. Also, make sure that the synergy tokens, the research tokens, and the wildcards are in reach of everyone. You'll take on the role of a biologist, and your goal is to create the best biome. You'll do this by creating ascending or descending consecutive lines with matching habitats. The game will end when one player has filled their entire biome, or when the time tracker reaches the specified number depending on the players. So how does it work? Well, during your turn, you'll take one of 2 actions: introduce or research. If you take the introduce action, it means you can select from the 6 species available in the field and place that card into your biome. If you want the rightmost card, you can take that one for free. But if you want any card to the left of that, you'll have to pay synergy tokens up to that card. Once you've selected your species card, you can begin placing it on your board. You'll place it on any open space on your board, and you'll get synergy tokens for any matching habitat. Before we get into scoring, let's talk about the second action, research. On your turn, you can select the research action, which means you can take any active skill token and flip it over to take that action. Alternatively, you can flip all the exhausted skill tokens. You'll flip them over and take the corresponding actions. If you choose to flip over the exhausted skill tokens, you'll then have to move the time token up on the time tracker. Along with doing the research or introduce action, you can take a free action during your turn, and that action is purchasing a wildcard. If you have 10 synergy tokens, you're allowed to take any of the wildcards available and place them onto your board. Now, let's talk about scoring! So there are 3 different ways to score points. The first one is having any leftover synergy tokens. You'll get 1 point for every 3 synergy. The second way to score points is through your secret objective that you selected at the starting of the game. If you're able to create the pattern that's given to you in your secret objective, you score that many points. And the last way to score points is through those ascending and descending rows and columns. Let's take a look at an example. This row here has consecutive numbers from 1 to 3, and all cards have matching habitats. That means that the row will score you 3 points. There are more ways to stack the points through the actions and the cards that you'll be placing. Research tokens, for example, will add an extra point to that line. Keystones, which are these symbols right here, will allow you to count the line again. So for example, this row, now that it is 1 to 3 matching habitats, has a research token and a keystone, you'll score 8 points. So you really want to work towards creating those chains and combos to score you even more points. Once everybody's done scoring, the game is complete, and you'll compare scores. Whoever has the most points wins.
Well, now let's dive into the merit. Now, what is the merit?
Well, in the merit, we'll look at the memorability, the education, the replayability, the imagination, and the target. So let's get started. Memorability.
Now, what really sticks out for me for this game, ever since we started playing it, is the beautiful art. The illustrations in this game are out of this world, and I was honestly surprised because I thought some of them were actually photographs, but they're not.
Yep, absolutely stunning. Before I even played this game, I was like, wow, this art, I'm just gonna want to try it because of that.
I think my favorite is the bumblebee.
I like the coyote. The other thing I want to talk about with memorability is that there's these subtle take that moments in this game that are very like epic in my opinion. So you'll be like playing cards and taking your own actions, and you get these opportunities to discard cards or take animals that maybe other people want, but sometimes you don't know that, and then you end up doing it and you get these reactions sometimes from people and they're like, no. And to me that makes this game very memorable.
Lastly, there's tons of opportunities to improve game to game. I feel like since we've started playing it a while ago to where we are now, we've made huge improvements, and that's something I really enjoy in games, is that you're able to see yourself grow and learn. Now, speaking of learning, let's talk about education.
Well, as somebody who really likes numbers, this game really gets you to crunch through those numbers, figure out where to place them, and then at the end of it, do math. And who doesn't like a bit of math?
And it's really friendly, it's not too complex, but it will improve your math skills.
Quick math.
Now there's some fun biology facts in here as well, because the way the numbers are set up is essentially it creates a food chain. And there's some really neat educational aspects here too, because you'll get to learn which animals are endangered and which are keystone species, which are essential in order for biomes to exist.
And then of course, the game itself, you have to be pretty adaptable and you have to plan ahead for what you want to do. Sometimes things will throw a curveball at you because you can't find a 3, so maybe you'll have to save up money for a wild card, or you'll have to completely go a different way. But you've got to be ready for that, and if there's one way to get better at it, it's by just diving right in. Well, now let's talk about replayability.
Now players add quite a lot to the replayability, because if you're playing a 2-player game, it is very different than playing a 4-player game, because you're able to gauge what the next person is going to do and what species you're able to introduce. While in a higher player game, it's a little bit more difficult because people can discard everything and then your favorite animal can be gone.
Yep, you end up making more decisions on the fly.
And it can really vary if someone's really coming out for you and seeing that you really need a 4 and the rest of the table is just taking all the 4s, not letting you get it. They know that you're going to get a lot of points if you get that 4. While all of you could also be working towards the best biome possible, helping each other, and in a more friendly way than a competitive way too. So there's some variability and replayability there.
Yeah, and then speaking of like different ways to win the game, there's a lot of strategy that goes behind the placements, collecting the right habitats, but also the skill tokens specifically.
I agree.
There are 10 of them and you play with 5, but however they're combined makes the game different. So you have to really plan your strategy around what research tokens are available, or more importantly, you have to stop people from taking the really good research tokens. So is taking the exhausted actions worth it sometimes? It's just that subtle variability that really adds to the experience.
I 100% agree, because if you have skill tokens that have a lot of research actions, you'll probably want to base your strategy on trying to collect as many of those as possible, especially if there's that duplicate piece. Where if you have less so, then you might adjust your strategy. But absolutely, like, the game is definitely driven by the skill tokens in my opinion.
And there's even a solo mode, so this makes the game pretty replayable. The solo mode acts as almost a campaign where you're working towards completing your field journal, and it's very cool.
Love it. Very well executed solo mode.
Yeah, it makes it feel like a completely different game, which makes it even more fun to play.
Now let's talk about
imagination.
As a biologist, you have the flexibility to create any biome you want. You can create a certain animals geared towards different seasons or habitats and make it as beautiful or chaotic as you want. And the best part too is you do really get to see which are endangered, which are the keystone species, get a little bit of that educational piece and really tie it all together in your beautiful little biome that you'll call home for the game.
And then just to add to that, you are building essentially what is like your own little sanctuary, but it's so thematic in a sense where all the animals make sense to be there if you're building it in, say, like a wetland space. The food chain hierarchy just ends up working out, and you can play to that. So if I wanted to collect all these owls, for example, I'm gonna have some rats involved, I'm gonna have some herbs involved or berries involved, and it's all just gonna come together and still be able to score you a lot of points, which is very cool because you just create your own little space.
And even stories behind it, and the way the illustrations are done, like you want to know what the lemming is up to because it's just so cute. Like how did it get so cute?
Yep, and the banter that can go on in that is just very fun when you're playing with a bunch of different people.
Name all the animals and the trees. Do it. So now let's talk about the target of the game. Who's this game for?
Pretty obviously that if you're very interested in animals or biology or food chains, then this game is definitely a game you'll want to check out. We've talked about this before, but it's just created this very, very niche experience where you can build your own biome and really see that food chain hierarchy come together, and it's just awesome.
It's also fairly easy to teach, to introduce to various folks. Like I can see introducing this to our family and our friends who really love board games as well. And you can play this many times. You can try to beat your scores. You can go through a solo mode and try some of those field journal missions. There's so much variety in this game, and it definitely will keep you coming back for more because there's also so many different animals and cards in this game too. The chances of you seeing a similar game are very unlikely.
It kind of comes back to that improvement piece we were talking about before. If you're interested in puzzles and you're always driving yourself to do a little bit better, this game will do exactly that for you. Once you play your first game, you then start to just strategize all these things and hopefully come up with something better for the next time to score even more points. So if that type of game appeals to you, Keystone North America is definitely something you'll want to check out.
Thank you so much for watching our What's the Merit? Make sure to check out that Kickstarter link for Keystone down below and learn a little bit about Rose Gauntlet. We'll throw all the links down there if you want to dive into an educational journey.
They also have amazing hoodies, so.
Yes. In their launch video, I remember Isaac wearing it, and I said, I must have it. And then I think as soon as their store went live, we were like, yeah, bye. Now, if you enjoyed what you saw as well, make sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, and click that bell notification to be notified when we release new videos.
Yay, videos!
And then tell us games you're excited about, some games you're backing, what we should be looking at, because we always love chatting with you folks and learning about new board games.
Exactly. But that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, we will see you later.
Bye.